Okay guys, in this demo, I'm going to show you how to take your Firefly's meeting transcriptions and upload them into a Google document and then save that Google document into your leads specific folder or into your client's specific folder, or maybe it's a partner or other, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This is just a sample meeting that I had with myself on my other phone with my other test account. So it's got speaker name, Mason Anderson, text, hey Greg, speaker name, Mason Anderson, thanks for hopping on the call, speaker name, test account, text, what's going on? So it's me, what I said. And the next speaker, what they said. Me, what I said. And it just keeps going. And this is super useful to have and store in your specific folders tied to that specific person, right? So this is AW test, that's the name tied to the account. This could be Edna mode for that matter, right? And we would throw this document into her specific Google Drive account in maybe a subfolder titled meeting notes or meeting transcriptions. That way, if we ever need to in the future go back and reference our previous meeting, we could throw this document into ChatGPT to give it reference, and then you can just ask away with questions and be like, hey, what did we talk about with our project? What were the specifics about the project that we discussed for automation? Or where did Edna say that she's located at? What time zone? Stuff like that, so that we don't have to go back and forth emailing with follow-up questions with our leads or with our partners or clients, right? And we can also use our meeting transcripts to feed to ChatGPT to give us a jump start into scoping out the project and brainstorming out the framework a bit. That way it saves us time and we can get a head start, stuff like that. But there's plenty of use cases for having your transcripts on file. I had a guy from New Zealand want to do this. He wanted this set up because he wanted to protect himself and his business, where down the line at the end of a project, if he had an unhappy customer, he could go back, he had all the meeting notes and references. If they were claiming something completely false, they could go back and reference these meeting transcripts and prove that they were wrong. And it just added that extra layer of protection for him and his business. So that's another use case for you guys. Long story short, I'm gonna build this out for you guys. So quick rundown, I'm just gonna do this explain for you guys, explain the flow. So it's anytime a meeting ends, Firefly sends that transcript, all that data to the webhook, or I guess the transcript ID, and then we're looking up the transcript by the ID, and then we're iterating over everything that was said, right? And then we're aggregating that into just one lump sum text like you saw in that document. And then we're iterating if there were multiple participants in that meeting, right? If it was just me and someone else, then it would iterate once. But if it was me, someone else, and their partner, it would iterate twice because there were two other participants besides the host, which was me. And then for each one of those participants, we're sending it through the workflow and we're looking up, okay, is this person a lead? We're searching our database right here, our CRM, if you will. We're searching this table. Hey, does this email exist in our leads table? If so, then travel up here and put all of the transcript, the meeting transcript, into a document and save it to that leads specific Google Drive folder. If not, travel down here, and then we're gonna see if they are a client of ours. And it's gonna do the exact same. If they are a client, if the email is found, throw it in a Google document, save it to their folder. If not, then they're not a client, they must be a partner. We're gonna look in our partner sheet. So over here in our partners sheet, if an email is found right here, that means that they're one of our partners, and it's going to grab the Google Drive ID right there. And then it's gonna do the exact same thing, create the Google document and save to that specific Google Drive folder using that Google Drive folder ID. And if not, then they're neither, and they must be out of our organization. It was probably a one-off meeting with someone. We still want to save the transcript, so we're just gonna put it in a designated meeting transcripts general folder. So let's do this. First thing you'll need is you'll want your CRM connected. So whether you're using Google Sheets, Airtable, or a designated CRM software where you can search your library of records to compare the email of the participant, and then you can grab that record, you're gonna need that. And then tied to each one of your records, your opportunities, your leads, your clients, your partners, you're gonna want to tie their home folder in Google Drive by their folder ID. Or maybe you want a subfolder of meeting notes and transcripts. You're gonna wanna grab that folder ID and map that in right there. Maybe you can have both, so you can add a separate column right here and have both the Google Drive home folder ID and the meeting notes and transcripts subfolder ID. But we're just gonna work with the home folders right now. So this is what we're working with. If our leads, right, these are all of our leads and their home folders, and then we're just gonna be storing the meeting transcripts in these folders. So if you want, I'll have this resource for you guys along with the blueprint files. I'll have all of that in the resources down below. If you want, you can click into this sample data, into this budget-friendly CRM, if you will, you'll need to go up here to the top left-hand corner underneath File and make a copy and copy it into your own Google Workspace account so that you can have access to it. You won't be able to use this and access the information from just the spreadsheet that I share with you guys. You need to make a copy and a version in your own Google Drive account. Okay, so first things first, let's open up a blank scenario and let's add a webhook right here. So we need to create a custom webhook right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and name this. I'm gonna name this exactly the title of my workflow right there. And I'm gonna hit save and it's gonna generate a new link for us. We're gonna copy this because we're gonna need it in the future. Hit OK. So you're gonna want to go to Fireflies, log into your Fireflies AI account, go over here to settings and then developer settings. And then right here, you're gonna find your API key and your webhook. So go ahead and paste that make.com webhook that we just made in our new scenario, paste that in right there and check this box because every time a transcription is completed, it's gonna send the meeting ID and the data through a webhook to this webhook. And then grab this API key because we need to connect our Fireflies AI account to make.com. And that's going to be our next module. So go ahead and search for Fireflies AI and we're gonna get a transcript right there. I already have mine connected, but to do so, you just basically do add connection, name it whatever you want, and then throw in your API key that you copied from Fireflies AI. And then we're just gonna be mapping in the transcript ID right there. Now we haven't passed any data through this webhook, so we have no idea what the structure of the data looks like. So in order to do that, we're gonna be using a tool called Postman. You can just Google it. It's a tool that allows you to make API requests. So we're gonna click create a new request, and we're gonna make a post request, and then we're gonna go over here to body. Post request, and then we're gonna go over here to body and check raw. And then this is where we're gonna be pasting in our JSON data. Now, I already have this data because I've been working on this scenario as of last night. So I'm gonna go over here to details, and I'm gonna go over here to the bundle input and output right here. So this is just a sample meeting that I had last night. So I'm gonna download the output bundles and it's gonna look like this. You guys can just, since you're probably gonna be starting from scratch, this is probably what you're gonna need to do. Back here to Postman, we're gonna be pasting this in. So if you want to just do this from scratch, you can. I'll have this available for you guys in a document in the resources below so you can just copy it and then replace your meeting ID right there. So we're sending these two pieces of information and these two variables to this webhook right here, and then we're gonna map in the transcript ID right there. So, but I need to replace the meeting ID with my sample meeting because I would use one of my other meetings that I have with clients, but there's just sensitive information. I don't want that, of course. I don't want to be using that in a video. So I'm trying to be super extra careful right here, make sure I'm not showing any of that stuff to you guys on this video. So this is my demo call that I just did this morning, and you guys can't see it, but up here in the URL, I'm gonna go ahead and enlarge this for you guys. So this is where you're gonna get the meeting ID, the transcript ID. So we have the whole URL, right? And this is where you're gonna get the transcript meeting ID right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and I'm gonna throw that into these parentheses, or not parentheses, these open quotes right there in my Postman request. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter in the URL, the webhook URL right there. So I'm gonna go back to make.com, our blank scenario, or it's not so blank anymore. We're gonna click into this webhook and copy this one more time. So copy address to clipboard, go back to Postman, and we're gonna paste that in right there. And then we're gonna go back to make.com and we're gonna say redetermine data structure right there, and it's gonna start listening. And then we're gonna make this request. So we're gonna send this, and it's gonna send the request, and it says it was accepted. And we can see back here in make.com that now the data is successfully determined. It knows what data structure we're working with. So if we go back to transcript ID, we might need to save this, save scenario, and refresh it. And then if we go back into the Fireflies AI module, we'll be able to map in the variable for the transcript ID. And we can't see it. So maybe we need to actually say, hey, run once, and let's try this again. So everything going back to Postman, I'm gonna say send, and then we're gonna go back to make.com, it sent, and of course there's an error because we didn't map anything, but now we should be able to see those variables and map in the transcript ID into its respective field. Okay, so meeting ID, we're mapping in that variable right there for the transcript ID. Hit okay. Hit save. Let's run this one more time. Go back to Postman and let's send this request one more time. And this way we get a successful output right here where we get all of the sentences in this sentences array. This is everything that was said by every single speaker on the call. More often than not, this can range anywhere from like a few hundred to almost 1,000 for my typical meetings. It's literally just every sentence line by line that was said. Start time, end time. We got the speaker name and the text or what was said. So now we need to iterate over this entire array, this sentences array. We need to iterate over everything and then combine using a text aggregator everything that was said. So in order to do that, it's really simple. We're just going to go ahead and add the iterator. So if you just type iterator, and then all we have to do is map in the sentences array. So now we can map in the sentences array right there. If we hover over it, make sure that it is sentences, and then in the carets, you'll see array. We're going to map that in right there, hit OK. And then next we need a text aggregator. So we're going to go over here to tools and we're going to select text aggregator. Source module is the iterator module right here. And the text that we want to aggregate is going to look like this, or you can do it however you wish. But I'm just going to say speaker name, :space, and then I'm going to do the speaker name. So in the sentences array, we're going to do speaker name, this variable right there. We're going to hit return, and then we're going to say text or what was said. And then right there, we're going to map in underneath the sentences array right there. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. We're not going to pull from this module. We're going to be pulling from the iterator module. So speaker name, :space, and then we're going to grab the speaker name right there. And then text, we're going to grab the text or the raw text. They look to be the exact same, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to click advanced settings right there, and I'm going to separate these by new rows and hit OK. Now you can see that these two modules are grouped. Let's go back here to this bundle, to this Fireflies module. We can look at the participants, and the participants is an array. Sometimes if there are multiple people in the call other than the host, it's going to be, right, 1, testaccount@automatewhat.com. And then if there's another person invited on the call, it's going to be 2, and then their email address, and then 3, and then their email address. So because of that, we want to make sure that we're iterating over every single participant and making sure that this transcript gets stored in that participant's Google Drive folder if they have one. In order to do that, we're just going to add another iterator module, and then array. We're going to go back here to the sentences array, or sorry, not the sentences. We're going to do the participants array. We're going to map that in right there, hit OK. Now we need to access our CRM. We need to search the records based on the email of the participant to see if their record exists in our database. So because we're using Google Sheets for this matter, we're going to do Google Sheets search rows, and then it's tied to my Automate What account. Search method, we're going to say spreadsheet ID, and I'm going to map in the spreadsheet ID. So I'm going to go over to my spreadsheet and the spreadsheet ID. I'm going to grab that from the URL, paste that in right there. Sheet name, I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet and grab the sheet name, and we're going to look at the leads sheet first. So I'm copying that, sheet name leads, and then the column range, A through Z. The table does contain headers. And then as for our filter, we're going to say if column D, which is the email column, email, if column D is equal to the participant's email, return that record. So if column D, which is just the email, it's going to map in the email, text operator is equal to, and then we're going to say the participants, or sorry, we're going to say the value is equal to the value from this iterator module right here, which is going to be the email of each participant. So if those two are equal, then return a record. Limit, I'm just going to say 1. So if we test this out, let's go ahead and run this module once. And then the value we're going to be entering in our email. So let's go over here to sample data and let's just do Elon Musk. So rocketman@spacex.com. We're going to copy that. So rocketman@spacex.com, hit OK. And it's going to return with his record right there. So Elon Musk, stage, he's in booked call. This is all of his information right there. And then we can even see his Google Drive folder ID, which we're going to be mapping into modules later on. Right here at this point, we're going to be adding a router. So let's go ahead and do router. And then up here, we're going to be adding a Google Drive, or not Google Drive, a Google Doc. So type Google Doc. Sorry, I can't type today. I always say that in my videos. I can't ever type. Google Docs. We're going to do create a document. And yes, it's tied to my correct Google Workspace account. And this is how I'm naming my document. So it's going to be the date. So this is how I do it. Format date. and then I'm inserting the date from the Fireflies AI module right here, this variable, and then I'm formatting it in this way, close parentheses, space, bar, and then I'm inserting the title of the meeting. So in this case, it would be AW Test and Mason Anderson, bar, demo call. And then I'm doing space, bar, space, meeting transcript. So that's going to be the whole title of the document. So again, right here, this is what you're seeing. We're seeing the date and then the title of the actual meeting and then meeting transcript. That's how I'm naming my documents. As for the content, this is what I'm going to be mapping in as well, right? So I'm just copying this right here, and I want this to be the header of the document as well. And then I'm going to hit return twice, and I'm going to map in the text from the text aggregator. This is everything that was said on the meeting. We're pulling from this module right there. And it's just one variable, text. Super duper easy. And then where do we want the file location? Where do we want to save this Google document? Well, we have the Google Drive folder ID listed in our record that was pulled that matched the criteria. So the record exists, and we're grabbing the record ID from this module right here. And that is going to be stored in the Google Drive folder ID in column L. So we can see if we go back to our CRM over in column L, if we scroll over, you can see this is where we're storing that folder ID. Then we're going to hit OK. Now we need to set up a filter. So we're setting up a filter right here, and I'm going to label this lead found or is lead. And then the condition, I'm just going to say if the email exists, then travel up this route. Meaning if the email exists from this module right here, travel up this route because the record was found and throw it into their folder. If not, then travel down this route right here. So I'm going to say not lead. And I'm going to say if the email does not exist, meaning there was no record found in the leads table right here, right? Then we're going to start searching the clients table right here. And we're going to do the exact same process. Compare the participant's email from Fireflies meeting to our database, our library of emails in our clients folder, in our clients sheet. And if something exists, follow the same process. If not, move on to the rest of the workflow. So not lead, does not exist. And we're going to basically be following this process the whole way. So let's go ahead and hold shift down, and we're going to copy this right here, copy, and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to connect this, delete this module, and then realign everything. Cool. That saves us some time. Now we just need to reconfigure this module and these modules right here. So let's go to this module. It's from the exact same spreadsheet ID. I'm going to keep that the same, but the sheet name is clients this time because we're searching the clients sheet. And then we're going to say if the email in column D, let's make sure it's the exact same, column D in the client's sheet. Yep. Go back to make.com. If the email in the client sheet is equal to the value, right? Because this is just iterating over the participants in the meeting, which is an email essentially. If these two are the same, or if there's a record in the client's table in the client sheet that matches this criteria, if they match up, then boom, we found their record and we want to create that Google document and throw it in their Google Drive folder. Again, I'm just gonna hit limit as 1, and we're not gonna worry about advanced settings or anything like that. We're gonna hit save, hit OK, and then we want to set up these filters right here. So again, we're gonna say client, is client, and again, if the email from column D exists, travel up this route. And we need to map in, let's see if we need to change anything actually. Format date, we got the date, the title of the meeting, blah, blah, blah. We're mapping in the text, and we need to map in the new Google Drive folder ID location. So we need to pull from this module and not this module. So we're gonna be making sure that we're mapping that in correctly right there. And we can see we are mapping in the Google Drive folder ID found in column L, pulling from module 9. We can see that matches up. Hit OK. And then if they're not a client, then we're going to search our partners folder, not client. Email from this module from number 9, not this one, number 6, number 9 does not exist, travel down this route. And we can rename these modules right here as well. So we could rename, let's rename this one right here. Find leads record. This one's going to be find clients record. Google Docs, I'm not going to worry about renaming those. And honestly, I could probably rename this Fireflies AI module. So get transcript, even though that's in the description right below it, get transcript. I'm just going to do that, get transcript. I'm not really going to worry about renaming any of these other modules. So just as long as I'm labeling these routes right here so I know what's going on, I'm content with that. Again, we're going to pull the same stunt. We're going to hold shift and then we're going to drag. We're going to hit copy. So Command C, or you can copy the modules like that. In blank space, click into blank space, Command V, or right click and paste. And then we're going to connect this right here. Right click that, delete, and realign everything. And we're going to change this filter right here. We're going to do this whole process again. So now it's not a client because it's traveling down this route. And we're saying if the email from this module right here does not exist, then travel down this route. And now we're going to rename this module. We're going to say find partners record. Hit OK. And we're going to need to reconfigure this one. So again, same spreadsheet, but we're pulling from the partners sheet now. So partners, and the partner sheet looks like this. Things are a little different. The email is now in column C, so we need to make sure that we're mapping that in properly. So if the email from column C is equal to the value up here from this iterator, then return the record. Hit OK. Change this to is partner, and we're going to say the condition is, let's see, if the email from column C exists, then travel up this route. And there's more than one way to set up these filters right here. This is just the easiest way that I find. If this email exists, sweet. If this returns nothing, it's not even gonna have the variable available. Hit OK, and we're gonna make sure this is all correct. So everything we're keeping the same right here. Make sure that it's in the correct Google Workspace account if you have multiple Google Workspace accounts like I do. New documents location, we're gonna grab that from this right here, Google Drive folder ID found in column H. In this case, it's in column H. Hit OK. And then we're going to change this label right here to not partner. So it must mean that it's just some random one-off meeting that we had with someone that's not in our system. And we're going to change this to if the email from this module does not exist, travel down here. We're going to right click, copy this module, or not rename. Sorry. We're going to clone this module, drag it down here to connect to the workflow, delete that one, realign everything, make sure our filter stayed the same. So not partner, the email in C does not exist, travel down here. And we're going to add this. We're still going to create a Google document. We're just going to add it to a general meeting transcripts folder that we still have and we can reference later on if we need to. Or we could reorganize ourselves manually if we want. So new documents location, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look, and I want it to be in this folder right here. So meeting transcripts -other. I'm going to click into that, go up to the URL, and I'm going to grab the folder ID in the URL. Paste that in right there and hit OK. Hit save. I should probably be saving more often along the way. Now, one more thing that I think we need to add before we test this out, make sure everything's working properly, is we want an error handler right here. If the Fireflies AI API is down for some reason, we want to just keep trying. So I'm going to add the break module, and I'm going to set the number of attempts to 3 every 1 hour. So I'm going to change this to 60 minutes. Hit OK. Now you're going to see this error right here, and it's because we haven't gone to scenario settings and toggled this on right here for allow storing of incomplete executions. You need to make sure that that is toggled to on. Hit OK, and it will disappear. Hit save, realign everything, hit save again, and we're good. So let's go ahead and test this out, see if it's working properly. So I had this demo meeting, right? This demo meeting with Fireflies AI, this guy right here. This is my demo meeting. I had this with my test account. So I'm going to change some emails in this sample data right here for you guys. So I'm going to go over here to, we're going to say that we had our meeting with Shrek. So I'm going to actually copy his email over here. Shrek@stayoutoftmyswamp.com, and I'm going to map in my email that I had with the demo meeting. So test account at automatewhat.com. because remember, this is what we're comparing against our participants. We're taking our participants' emails from the Fireflies AI module right here. We're iterating over that and we're comparing that value to these records in our CRM. So back here to Postman now, everything's gonna stay the same. I have the meeting ID from my Fireflies demo meeting right here that I grabbed from the URL. You guys can't see it right there, but again, it's this right here. It's the whole URL and you're gonna find the ID right there. And we're gonna send this data to this webhook. So let's go ahead and say run once, make sure it's listening for new data, and we're gonna go ahead and say send. Back here, we can see that it's firing off. It found the leads record because the email, right, of testaccount@automatewhat.com matched one of these records, which is Shrek's record, right? Because the email matched right there. So if we go to Shrek's Google Drive folder, we can see that we'll have our meeting transcript Google document. So we click into our leads folder, go to Shrek, and we can see that we have our meeting transcript document right here. And it looks like everything's looking pretty dang good. So we got the title, we got the title of the document, and then we're just adding that exact same thing as the header. That's just me. And then we have speaker name, Mason. Hey, Greg, what's up? And then test account. That's just the name that's gonna show up because that is tied to a W test account. So that's why it's saying test account right there. And then it just goes on through the whole meeting. So that worked beautifully. Now let's go back here and I'm gonna go ahead and redo this. I'm gonna paste that in right there, kind of reset things. I'm gonna go into my clients sheet right here and I'm gonna change, let's do April. No, I like Edna. We're gonna move this over here for now and I'm gonna do test account at automatewhat.com. Now let's go back to make.com, run once to listen, and we're gonna go back to Postman and send this request again and see how it handles the workflow. So you can see it handled exactly how we wanted it to. It went to our CRM, it went to our Google Sheet, and it first looked at the leads sheet. It did not find any emails in this column that matched our participant's email. So it moved on to the workflow and searched our client records in the client sheet, and it found something. It found a match right here for Edna Mode. So it grabbed her ID, Google Drive folder ID, and saved the Google document into her folder. If we go back to our Google Drive, go to clients, go to Edna Mode, we can see we now have her transcript saved in her Google Drive folder. So everything's working smooth so far. Let's keep going and make sure that everything is working for the remainder of our workflow. Back to the CRM, I'm gonna Command X, Command V, and then go to partners. Let's do Tony Stark. I'm gonna Command X, Command V for now. Email test account at automatewhat.com. So these are our partners. Let's go ahead and run once, one more time, make sure that's listening. And we're gonna send this request in Postman one more time. Back here to Google Drive, we can see it's doing its thing right now. It just finished and it looks like everything's working well. If we go to our Google Drive, go to partners right here, go to Tony Stark, we can see that we have our meeting transcript right there. So that's working beautifully. Now, last thing we need to check is make sure our general folder right here is working. So if it doesn't meet any of the criteria, we still want to save the transcripts into this folder right here. So let's go back here. Let's go back to make.com, hit run once, and we're gonna change the sample data. So in our CRM. So I'm gonna Command X, Command V, just reset that whole thing. So now test account at automatewhat.com is not found in any of the emails in any of these sheets. So they must not be in our system. We still want to save the transcript in our general folder in Google Drive right here. So let's click into that. We're listening already. We go back to Postman. We're going to send a request and it's going to do its thing. It's grabbing the meeting transcript right now. It's kind of taking a little long right now. Okay. So it looked and passed through all of our filters. And if we go back to this Google Drive folder, we should see any minute now, it'll pop up for us. Everything is working beautifully for us. Now, I honestly don't have like any errors ever with Google Sheets or Google Docs with the API. So that's why I don't really do error handlers tied to any of these modules. I don't know about Firefly's AI, so that's why I have this error handler in place just in case their API is kind of spotty or whatever. So that way I can just continue on with my day and not have to worry about this workflow trying again over and over again for the next 3 hours. And then hopefully within that 3-hour time span, Firefly's AI has fixed their API or their services back up and running, or whatever the case that caused the error to begin with. It's working now and it carries on. And that way I don't miss any transcripts, and it's always taken care of, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Realign everything, hit save, and I'll have this right here. I'll have this whole blueprint for you guys down here in the resources. If you're using a separate CRM like Airtable, or you want to set it up differently, now you understand the logic and everything you need to put into place to run something that is similar to this. The hardest part that took me a few iterations or a few versions over since I started Make.com automations and now I'm landing on this product, which is like version 3, is the hardest part was figuring out this part right here, which was iterating over everything and just combining that into one big blob of text that you see right here. That was the hardest part for me. But now that I'm looking back at it, it's super easy for me to do stuff like that now. It just takes practice. If you guys are using Airtable, this is what my setup currently looks like. So I'm using Airtable as my CRM. I'm not going to show you my Airtable because I just don't want to go through blurring all of that stuff out, that information. But it's essentially the same thing. We're sending all of our data via webhook to this webhook to this scenario. So back here in your Firefly's AI account, this is where I'm tying the webhook to that specific workflow in Make.com. So I'm just pasting in that webhook URL right here, and I'm making sure this box is checked. Transcription completed, send the data to this webhook. And so this is what that looks like. The exact same setup right here, iterating over all of the participants, but I'm just searching one time in my whole CRM because all of my records are in just one table in Airtable as listed as opportunities. And I'm just saying, hey, if they search my entire table of opportunities, so they're a mix of leads, clients, partners, all that stuff, anyone in my system, just search this whole table. If the email matches, if you get a record, then travel up this route, the opportunity exists, and upload that document, that transcript, to a Google Doc and save it to that folder ID, to that folder. If not, then they're not in my system and I still am just saving it to my general folder, my general meeting transcripts folder. And I can do it this way because once I create a home folder for that specific person in my Google Workspace, once I create that home folder, that Google folder ID always stays the same. No matter if I take that folder and move it into another folder or a subfolder or whatever, that ID is always going to be the same. So once they enter my system and I log their Google Drive folder ID once to that record in Airtable, I don't need to worry about it changing. So if you guys want, I'll also have this blueprint for you guys down in the resources below if you want to see how I use Airtable. So the only tricky part with Airtable is the formulas right here. So this is how you add the formula. This is how you basically compare, just like in the Google Sheets where we're saying, hey, look at the participant's email, the value from this module right here, this filter. If this email matches this email, return the record. That's what we're doing with this setup right here with this formula. We're saying, hey, if in curly braces, if the email, that's the email column in Airtable, is equal to, and then open quote, and then we're mapping in the variable of the value right here, which is essentially just the email of the participant, close quote. That's our formula. It's the exact same thing. And I'm also doing a break error handler right here just in case the Airtable API is broken or down or whatever, because I want it to try 3 times every hour, hopefully resolving itself automatically. So yeah, that's it. I hope that tutorial was very helpful for you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks, guys.